In today's video, we are making crazy simple things. 3 ingredients is all you're gonna need for each one of these. And I have a confession to make. I am actually a really huge fan of very complex recipes. I love the way that they challenge me, but there is a time and a place for those very complex recipes. And sometimes you don't have the time for it, you don't have the place for it, and it's just not the season for complexity. These all have such amazing flavor. They're so good, and just 3 ingredients. We have some leftover rice from last night. We actually made rice with the intent of cooking at home, and then we went out to eat. So I'm gonna make a 3 ingredient chicken that pairs really well with some rice. It's so easy to make. You just cut up some chicken breasts or some chicken thighs, saute those up in a pan, and then mix in your sauce and cook that sauce. So delicious, so good. However, if you have not tried the Just Bare lightly breaded chicken breasts, we get them at Sam's Club, but I've seen them at regular grocery stores too. Y'all, these are the best. I do not like frozen chicken. I do not like the chicken nuggets, chicken strips, all that kind of stuff that you can typically get in the grocery store. I've rarely found one that I like. These are delicious. I'm talking, they taste straight up like you just made them. Honestly, I think they're better than when we go out to eat and we get chicken sometimes, like at a fast food restaurant. I won't say what it is, but we do that occasionally. We are gonna make these in the air fryer, but you can make them in the microwave. You can also make them in the oven. I think just my husband and I are gonna have these today because the kids are already eating. That should be plenty. So ingredient number 1 was the chicken. Sorry, my dishwasher is running and it's really loud. So if you hear that, that's what it is. Ingredient number 2 is this. We're using this called Wicked Bliss pineapple habanero jam. It is a hot jam. You can use an orange marmalade jam spread, something like that. It does not have to be a hot, it doesn't have to be pineapple. You can just make a regular orange one and it's like an orange chicken. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup into my pot here. This is gonna, since just my husband and I are having this, we're okay with the heat. Okay, that's about a 1/4 cup. And equal parts barbecue sauce. We're using Sweet Baby Ray's because that's what we typically use. I need about a 1/4 cup as well. Okay, now we're gonna take this over to the stove and just let it heat up, come together, become a sauce. Then when the chicken comes out of the air fryer, we'll cut it into pieces and toss it in this sauce and serve it over rice. I mean, how much easier could this recipe be? So easy and so good. This is absolutely a crock pot friendly meal. You can actually cut up the chicken, put that into the crock pot, dump in the orange jam, pineapple jam, whichever one you're using, dump in your barbecue sauce, mix it all together, cook it, and it's ready to go later that day. It is so crazy easy. The chicken is done. I'm actually just gonna use scissors to just cut this into pieces and go directly into the pot. I mean, it's 3 ingredients, so we're gonna save on dishes too. And you will see, we're gonna take regular chicken strips that are just really good already, okay? And we're gonna elevate them and turn them into what looks like a takeout dish. Seriously though, if you have not tried these chicken strips, highly, highly recommend. I got my friend Mandy started on them too, and they always have them available in their house because they eat them like we do. And she will actually call me and tell me anytime that she finds them on sale because they're just that good. This actually might have been easier just to cut them with a knife, but they're really hot, so we'll just do it this way. Okay, now we toss in the sauce. This looks like good takeout right here. Like straight up, you went somewhere, you got takeout and you brought it home. Now, obviously I added the green onions just to make it prettier. Adding the rice adds another ingredient, but 3 ingredient chicken. Now I wanna test the spice level. I already know how much we like the actual chicken, but let's test the spice level. Not near what I thought it was gonna be. So like I said, we used that pineapple habanero jam, but you could use an orange one if you want no spice at all. This has barely, I mean, the slightest little bit of kick, but it is really good. It's sweet, it's savory. You got that awesome chicken that we love, and then you toss it in a sauce. I mean, seriously, delicious. This is a recipe that we regularly enjoy for dinner because it is so crazy easy. It's really only 3 ingredients. I'm not counting salt and I'm not counting oil, but you can add garlic powder, you can add onion powder, you can add whatever you want, but really all you need is potatoes, some sort of vegetable, whether that be green pepper or green beans, something like that, and your protein. It's so crazy easy. I'm telling you guys, we do this regularly. But the first thing we need to do to get this started is to cut up our potatoes. I'm using red potatoes because I think these are really good in this recipe. I do have a pot over here on the stove. I've already turned it on so that we can get the water boiling. And I'm just gonna cut these up into like bite size, I guess, bite size pieces. That one doesn't look very good on the end. We're gonna cut that off. Last year we tried to grow potatoes in our garden, and it did not happen. Nothing happened. They didn't grow. I mean, maybe they are out there somewhere and they're just underneath everything, but we did check regularly, never got anything. I might try them again this year just because I've heard they're so easy, but we didn't have very good luck with that. And the grocery store potatoes lately, they've not been great. I'm not loving them too much. It's April. We have not planted our garden yet. Normally by now we would have planted. We were kind of waiting to see if there was going to be another freeze, and there was. And then also we're going to be gone about 20 days in May. We are taking a huge trip that we have planned for a long time, and I'm going to give you guys more info on that. So if you're watching this and it's May, then we're on a trip. And hopefully you're following along. So we have not planted because my mom's gonna be staying at our house and house sitting for us and taking care of our animals. So we didn't want her to have to worry about the garden while we're gone, obviously. So I'm not sure how much we're gonna have in an outdoor garden this year. You know, we have our indoor garden, which is fantastic, but the outdoor garden is where we grow the bigger stuff. I'm gonna get these boiling. They don't have to completely cook and boil down to where they're mashed potato consistency. I just want to boil them until they're fork tender, and then we're gonna be cooking everything in a skillet, kind of like doing a skillet hash. While the potatoes are boiling over on the stove, I'm gonna go ahead and prep everything else going in this meal. Now, like I said, I have done this with green pepper before and it's so good. And I stood here and debated, am I gonna do green beans or am I gonna do green pepper? I'm going with green beans, but we're gonna chop them up because just of the size of everything else that is going into this recipe. And I'm realizing now I probably should have started boiling these potatoes in a tad larger pot. Okay, I just pulled these over really quick. I'm honestly just gonna throw all these in there and just let them cook up. We are gonna be sauteing everything, but they're really crispy and it takes a while for them to saute if you just put them in the pan. So I'm just gonna let them cook up first. This is chicken sausage that we're doing tonight. I couldn't even remember exactly what I ordered. I'm gonna try and slice this into coins, although they're not gonna stay perfectly because of the casing around them. It's still gonna be fine, but we're gonna make coins out of them. You can use whatever kind of meat you prefer. We've done this with chicken thighs before, cut that up, seasoned them, really, really good. I also love a recipe like this because it reheats really well. So typically when I make something like this, like even tonight, I was thinking, I don't know if I need all 3 of these. I'm gonna go ahead and cook all 3 of them, all of the potatoes, all of the green beans, because it stores away so nicely and that is leftovers for lunch tomorrow. So it just reheats very nicely. My favorite way to reheat this is to pop it in the air fry basket for just a couple of minutes. It reheats perfect. It adds a little bit of crispiness to the potatoes. You're not putting it in the microwave and everything getting soggy. So if you have an air fryer, try it that way. Potatoes and the green beans are nice and soft because I want to move on to cooking up that chicken sausage. Now, if you're using a pork sausage, you probably don't need to add any oil. So that's kind of like eliminating one of your ingredients. But since we're using a chicken sausage, it's definitely got less fat in it, and we added an oil to the pan, just about maybe a little less than a tablespoon. I've got my heat on now. We're gonna put that sausage in and cook it up really good. Now, because this is not a very large cast iron skillet, I might need to actually cook this in 2 batches. I don't think it's all gonna fit. So normally when we're searing something off, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just searing, but I actually need these to completely cook through. So they're just about done. We've got nice color on all sides, which is what we want. So we'll move them to a plate. FYI, I just cut open one of those chicken sausages to make sure that they were done, and I tasted it. That is the best chicken sausage we've ever had. I got it at Whole Foods. It is so delicious. Now that we've got the chicken sausage cooked up, actually, let's add a little bit of oil to the pan. It pretty much used the majority of that. We're gonna put the potatoes and the green beans in there. Now what I like to do is spread it out. It's gonna be a nice full pan, obviously. Spread it out, let that bottom layer get a bit of a crust to it, then turn it, get another crust, turn it, get another crust, same process, okay? So I like it when there's a bit of a crust on all of the stuff on all of the potatoes and green beans and everything, because it just makes it so good. So this is what I'm talking about. When I turn it, I wanna see color like that on the potatoes. You can see some on green beans here. That's what you're looking for. Adding that color, that nice crust to the vegetables. I thought that I was recording and I wasn't when I added the chicken back in. So I've added it and we just kind of tossed it together. And now my heat is on a medium low just so that everything can come up to temperature, and then we're gonna be ready to serve. Friends, I love a good hash. Corned beef hash, sausage hash, whatever it is. You know I love potatoes. We've talked about that here before. But there's something about a hash, adding those crispy potatoes, it's just so good. Okay, so let's give this a try. We'll try all the little pieces here. Let me cut a little bit of sausage. This is easily one of my favorite meals. I've told you guys, I am a huge fan of meals that are complex, have bold flavors, have lots of ingredients. This tastes like it has lots of ingredients. It is so bold with the flavors of the chicken sausage and the fact that the potatoes crisp up and they get like that sear on them. It's so delicious and so easy. Minimal ingredients, minimal cost, minimal time. This 3-ingredient recipe is so easy and it is so good. You would not believe when making this that it's only 3 ingredients. You can have this for breakfast, you can have it for lunch, you can have it for dinner. There are great options here. If you want to add additional ingredients, I would suggest making this a fully, I mean, obviously you can have breakfast for dinner, but more of a breakfast style thing and adding eggs to it. We have done that many times and it is so good. But if you want it to be more appetizer style, you could do pinwheels with it. Just wait and see, it's delicious. We've got pizza dough here and you can buy this usually in your grocery store. I have seen it in the deli section of the grocery store. The other option is in the same kind of tube or can that your crescent rolls come in, there's pizza dough. So you can buy it just like that in your grocery store. We're gonna be using this one right here. I've also got some pork breakfast sausage because that's the intent of ours. We're gonna be using it for breakfast, and some cream cheese, literally 3 ingredients. First thing we need to do is cook up this sausage. I don't believe I'm gonna use the entire pound. I think I'm probably gonna cook up half a pound and then reserve half for when we make breakfast burritos and things like that. And also we need to preheat our oven. We're gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Okay, I always find that my mix and chop makes this the easiest. So we'll just start to break this up and let it cook. We're just cooking and crumbling the sausage. While that cooks, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and deal with the dough. So I need to flour my surface. If you are the type of person that really ever makes bread, or you're flouring your countertop or whatever, or you need powdered sugar shakers, these things are fabulous. I use them way more than I thought that I would. Just kind of putting flour all over my clean counter. It is clean, I promise. And then we're gonna take the dough out of this bowl, or we're going to try to. There we go. I'm gonna flour a little bit on the top as well and start to just flatten that out. Probably add more flour just so it doesn't stick. And then I'm gonna get my roller out and roll it flat. Let's just quickly mix this a bit while we're over here grabbing the roller. Here it is, and I'm too short. Now we're gonna roll this. And I don't need it to be completely flat. I just want a rectangle-ish form. I'm really terrible with like judging something by size like this. I would say this is a 1/2 inch thick, but I don't completely know that for sure. It's just medium pizza size. Maybe? I would say medium pizza size. Okay, we just continue to let the sausage cook up. Okay, while that's cooking, let me explain. There's a couple ways that you can go about this. We're actually gonna make a big roll for our sausage rolls, that's what we're calling it. And basically I'm just gonna cut it into big pieces, and that's what we would eat for breakfast. You'll see what I'm talking about. But what you can do is roll this really tightly into a thinner roll, cut it into slices, and you can make pinwheels. So if you're looking for an appetizer style, you can go that way. My sausage is cooked through. Now we are going to turn that onto low, and I'm gonna pull out, not fully half, just maybe a third. Leave the majority in there. We'll have this reserved for breakfast burritos and things of that nature, omelets and stuff. And I'm gonna add about 3 ounces of cream cheese and mix all of that together. Okay, so the basic goal here is just to combine that cream cheese in, let it mix with the sausage. And really, I mean, it doesn't have to be completely combined. I just wanna make sure that there's not any big pieces of cream cheese and that it kind of is dispersed all throughout. I think that's pretty good. Let's move back over to where our pizza dough is. I'm gonna put this on the dough. So tell me, while we're doing this, while we're prepping this, what is your go-to style of recipe? Do you prefer really easy recipes? Do you prefer things that are a little more complicated, more ingredients? Do you prefer the crock pot? What's your go-to? Okay, we're gonna roll this up, and basically I'm just taking, let me get this. It's a little easier like that. Okay, we're going to roll over, kind of like a stromboli. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. Actually, we might just roll over here at this point. Yeah, like a stromboli. So we've got that here. Let me bring over my pan. I've got some parchment paper here. Okay. Well, we might go with a U shape. How about that? We're going with a U shape because that's about how it worked, okay? All right, so you can obviously lay yours flat. I'm not gonna move it. It's there, it's working. We're gonna end up cutting it anyway. So this is gonna go in my 400-degree oven, probably about 20 to 25 minutes. I'll definitely check it at around 15 minutes just to make sure. Okay, now that I made this and took it out of the oven, cut it and put it on a plate, I'm remembering that we only used a half roll of pizza dough, or a half dough last time. This is just a more doughy, it's more just like a sausage bread, but if you want it to be a little more like a stromboli, cut that dough in half and spread out your mixture on the inside, roll it up. It's gonna look a little more like pinwheels when you cut it up, but we love this like bready sausage. You get that, like all the flavors that go into a breakfast sausage with the cream cheese that tone it down a little bit and the awesome flavor of the pizza dough. I did bake mine for 19 minutes and it came out perfect. Now that's at 400 degrees in my oven, but right around that 20-minute mark, so good. It's nice and fluffy. So these pieces broke as I was cutting them. My favorite pieces are actually the end pieces that get a little bit done. I think they're so good like that. Like this piece right here, it has no sausage on it, but I'm a bread girl. I love bread. These are great to serve with breakfast. Like I said, you could have a little appetizer. Another great option for this is if you're serving a soup, this is a great dipping bread, depending on the soup. So if you're doing like a tomato basil soup, this pairs so beautifully with that because you're getting a little bit of that sausage in there and you have the great like dipping dough. It's very, very good like that. So definitely experiment with this. You can add egg and really bulk it up, make it more for breakfast. But if you want just 3 ingredients, this is the way to go. Our verse today comes from Psalms 32:7. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you need more inspiration, I highly suggest that you check out the video that I have listed above. You're gonna get more inspiration and encouragement in the kitchen. Also, don't forget to subscribe and stick around, and you're gonna get more content every week. Have a great week.